welcome to the greatest pleasure ship ever built. Good times forever!
I have something here, sir.
I've never seen anything like this.
It's a malfunction, sir.
That's impossible. Where are they coming from?
I don't know, sir, but whatever it is, it's, big.
What's up, Rotters, and welcome back to Brainrot, the podcast that takes a deep dive into the best and worst horror films of the 80s and 90s. I'm Stevie, your VHS veteran. I can't believe we're nearing the end of the series. 2022 was a big year for Brainrot. We tripled in listeners. We were featured by Apple Podcasts across all their platforms. We soared up the charts and were involved in some incredible collaborations. Thank you. Thank you for spreading the word and for always returning. It means the world to me. But yes, unfortunately, next week shall be our penultimate episode of the series until the summer. But of course, the madness will be carrying on over on Patreon, where Mike Monser, for instance, will be joining me once a month as we cover the entire 8 entries in the Leprechaun series. Poor bugger. And the Mates of Hell will be reuniting to continue our Fulci Fest. Last week, we released an episode on City of the Living Dead, and it's quite easily one of my favourite, if not the favourite episode of Brainrot to date. It's utter chaos. If you want to hear that and join us on the journey, you know what to do. Patreon.com/Stevie's Brainrot. This week, making his second appearance this series, Dead Meets Zoran Gvojic is back as we sink back deep into the 90s, chatting all things Deep Rising from 1998. At the time of recording, the movie is currently streaming on Disney Plus in the UK. And as with all good, bad B-movies, Deep Rising came with a host of taglines, such as, "This ain't no pleasure cruise," and "Women and children first, you're next," or "Full scream ahead," or my personal favourite, "They seized the world's richest ship, but no one's on board." Doesn't really grab you, that one, does it? Literally couldn't make it sound more boring. However, it's not boring, as me and Zoran shall now prove. Zoran, you're back. You're doing the rare double appearance in one season. Welcome and congratulations.
I am honored. So honored to be coming back, especially for Deep Rising.
Now, let's just, before we talk about it, let's have a little palate cleanser first. Because I first want to talk about some really exciting news that I saw Dead Meat announced, that you have a return coming of They Talk, is that right?
Yes, I have officially started work on season 2 of They Talk, last done in 2021. We have no release plans or anything. Things are in flux and all kinds of things like that. But I just started work. I've gotten one kind of roughly animated, and James approved it, and I'm very happy for what that one is. I'm not revealing what any of the movies are that I am doing. I'll tell you after. I'll tell you, but you can't tell anyone on the internet. But yeah, I'm working on hopefully getting towards 5, one of them being the most ambitious thing I could possibly do. That completely breaks the formula of the show that I made. But, the show that it's just a secret audio track. Oh, no, I'm re-editing whole things and adding in CGI characters, and it's going to be very fun. If I can make it all work, hopefully we'll get that all to work. I like to keep it secret, and then, of course, James just posts it. I'm just like,
yeah, of course. I guess the cat's out of the bag.
There we go. There we go. I guess, I'm doing this. Expectations begin. So there's no set release date for that, because I also have Honeymoon coming up, hopefully in the next couple months, with my wonderful wife, Megan Gorman. And was I married last time? I don't remember if I was married last time.
So first episode, you were getting married that weekend. And
That's
then
what it was.
The second episode, Waxwork 2 on Patreon, you had just been married. And now we're in a whole new year, and it's the honeymoon.
It's still going strong. Still going strong. Very,
so each
very
marital
happy.
landmark, we'll just record an episode. That's how you'll remember.
That's why you keep bringing me back.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So the next one's divorce.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to come back for the divorce episode.
But well, I was about to speaking of really terrible things. Actually, I'm not going to say it because I will talk about it. So Deep Rising from 1998. This was one of your choices, actually, because you sent through a list and every single one I want to do, every film that you sent through. And then this really stuck out to me because even though I do 80s and 90s, I don't delve into the 90s enough of this sort of standard of film. And when I saw that on your list, I was like, fuck, that's it. It's Deep Rising. I've got to do it because it's been a long time since I've seen it. And this, well, it's since it originally came out, since probably the late 90s. And this is the first time I've watched it since. And it's not quite what I remember because I used to mix up. I think within a few months you had Deep Rising and Deep Impact coming out at the cinema. So it went...
They're very different films. Very different films.
But 1998, it went Titanic, then this oceanic monster movie, then Deep Impact and Armageddon, and it was just all very confusing in Hollywood. I didn't know what was going on and what was what. But why did you choose Deep Rising?
I don't know why. I have a soft spot for Deep Rising because I never saw Titanic in theaters, but I saw this in theaters. My mom did not take me to see Titanic, but took me to see Deep Rising.
Treat Williams in Deep Rising.
And it's a very rare oddity that it's a B movie,
yeah,
but with an A-list budget.
Yeah.
Now at the time, you know, it was Industrial Light and Magic doing the CGI effects and everything like that, so they were cutting edge at the time. Little dated now, but you know, it's a classic B monster movie things that got ripped apart by the critics. Roger Ebert hated it, like it's on his most hated films list. And everyone says that it's an Aliens ripoff, which I don't fully see. Like, there's things, but I don't think it's a full-on.
The gang of sort of alpha males all, like, with guns and hitting each other and being all that awful alpha camaraderie. Like, that's a bit like Aliens. There's a few other little moments. But as a whole, no. That's about it.
You know, it's a fun monster movie. And, I mean, the fact that they kind of have tentacles like a graboid might be something that I like in there. Yeah. I'll be honest, that's probably something that just resonates with me. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this. And also because my friends and I would always joke, because this is like Treat Williams' like big starring role. Treat Williams, the actor, did not really have much. And we affectionately called Treat Williams T-Bill as our favorite thing. So I'm going to refer to him as T-Bill. Yeah, because T for treat.
Oh, and
Williams is shortened
Bill.
to Bill.
Yeah.
So we go T-Bill.
I like that. That's how we shall henceforth mention him during this episode. Yeah, I think it is great. I think it kind of... when I say great, you know, I don't mean that in the traditional sense.
But I enjoy this. My friend hated it when I made him watch it, but I was just like, this is fun.
Yeah, it suffered when it came out, I think, because they were in over their head a bit with what they wanted to do. And I believe that the post-production, I think, took an extra year over schedule.
Yes. Yeah. That
it was meant to be the big... Since Jurassic Park, I think it was meant to be the big CGI monster movie years later, but then it was so delayed, didn't loads come out before this eventually saw it, like Mimic and Relic.
Oh, yeah. I always think of this with Relic, too. I guess that was 97. Yeah, because my mom took me to see Relic, because my mom took me to see all these movies. That's basically what it was. She's like, I want to see this, so you're coming with. Great.
She rocks.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dr. Susan Brown. So, yeah, my name is Zoran Gvojic. My mom's name is Susan Brown, the most normal
I was about to say, what?
name possible. And my mom's name is Doc Brown, so it's back
Oh my
to the
God,
future.
of course.
But this was originally supposed to come out around the time of Con Air and Starship Troopers and got pushed because they needed more time, and also they didn't want to release at the same time as that, and then ended up getting released like after Titanic, and they're like, well, shit, nothing beats Titanic, because that thing was in the box office for like months.
Right. Yeah, and then, as I said,
theaters.
it unfortunately landed between Titanic and Armageddon and Deep Impact.
And Deep Impact.
Can't forget that. But yeah, I guess that's why it kind of suffered then. But looking at it, you've got the creature design from Rob Bottin, and the ILM, as you said, came on board, and what they do is actually amazing. When I was looking at, especially the little ones, when the Queen, the big one,
that's where they ran out of time on.
Yeah, you
like
could tell.
they just gotta. Here it is, and then it's gone. All right, move on.
Yeah, it hadn't been mastered, but it works, and there's a nice mix. The editing's really good because there's a nice mix of practical and CGI, so that it's just edited together so well that you can't dwell for too long on these CGI creatures, and also the way they move is so quick and frantic, and I think it works, and I really, really enjoyed my watch. However, it's way too fucking long. It's
like an hour 40.
It's an hour 45, Zoran. It's a monster movie.
Oh God, I'm sorry.
Breaks a monster movie breaking the 90-minute rule.
You're right. Well, you're right.
And what it is for me, in the first, it starts straight away. It's like action, and it doesn't stop. It's non-stop. Everyone's shouting. It's frantic. You have no idea what's going on. There's these two boats, all this shit. And then in the middle, once we've discovered what's going on, it's just people moving from room to room, going, right, we'll be safe in here. The room floods, tentacles come in. All right, to the next room. We're safe in here. Flood, another person dies, next room. And then after like 7 times, they're like, oh, we need a change of scenery. Let's put an island there. There's somewhere to go. So I could have done without, 2 of the kitchen scenes, or it just,
That's
I
fair.
did find myself going, this is a bit repetitive. Let me guess what's going to happen now. Someone else is going to be an asshole. Then they're going to get it. And then we'll move to the next room. And I was right. But having said that, these are minor qualms. I had a great time. I didn't ask you, but do you have a synopsis?
Oh, of course I do. I always have a synopsis. Let's see how this one
amazing.
goes.
Great. Hit me.
All right. Deep Rising, originally called Tentacle, which is a more fitting
Is
name.
that true?
Yeah,
Oh.
that's the original. In the synopsis, the director of the Mummy reboot, before that other Mummy reboot, brings you a fun B monster movie on an A-list budget. Treat Williams stars as John Finnegan, a role Harrison Ford turned down since it's basically Han Solo. Finney helps smuggle a group of James Cameron-y mercenaries onto a luxury cruise liner named the Argonautica. Unfortunately, the ship has already been hijacked by a bloated effects budget that keeps the main creature hidden for half the movie's runtime. Together with a thieving hitchhiker named Trillian and Benny from The Mummy, they witness some pretty good gore, dated CGI, and it all comes down to basically a lot of chasing on the Argonautica.
Nice. I like it. I'm so glad you said the name of the ship, because I thought it was called the Necronomicon, because the guy, the CEO guy, whatever it is, the baddie at the end, the dickhead. So whenever he says it, when he's announcing it to all the people, whenever he mentions it, he says it in a sort of with such jubilation that it always is shouted. So I was like, oh, and he goes, welcome aboard the first night on the Necronomicon. And I was like, the what? The Necronomicon. Then he did it again. He went, okay, thank you all. Have a great time on the Necronomicon. I was like, oh, it's the Necronomicon. That doesn't bode well, surely. But now you told me it's the Argonautica.
Argonautica is the name of the ship. And
Argatana.
Argonautica. Argonautica.
Argonautida.
Oh, I'm watching your mouth just break. It's just broken. It's a broken
we haven't even
mouth.
started. Argonaucana.
It's like fucking evil Ash, just like Sally Forth. Just hold your jaw.
Hold your jaw. Nice. That's the whole story, and it's kind of cool. And we were discussing just before how actually kind of simple ideas are best when it comes to films of spectacle, because it's about some mercenaries who are gonna hijack a ship, and that's it, and then there's a monster. That's all you need. But I mean, of course it starts, it's a rite of passage, isn't it? It's an oceanic monster. You got to have a POV opening credits of the monster. It kind of goes nowhere there, right?
Well, no, it actually starts with quiet text.
Oh, of course.
Any movie that starts with
Yes.
text, you're in for a good time when it's just, there's a bunch of things hidden in the ocean. This could be one of them, or whatever it is. Yes. And then the music, which is done by Jerry Goldsmith,
Yes.
who did, of course, the greatest
Mummy.
Gremlins rag. And The Mummy as well.
And The Mummy.
Because this was Stephen Sommers, the director of that, then went
Of
on to
course.
do The Mummy after this. So he took a lot of people with him and crew and things.
and the 37 Scorpion King movies.
I mean, he didn't make those, right? Those were just direct
did he not?
video. We'll see.
I think he exec produced them all.
Oh, I'm sure it was, because it's based on his initial works. But anyway, that opening, the score in the beginning sounds just like knocking. It's like do 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 do, and so I'm reading this text, and I'm like, it kind of seems like I'm like reading in the bathroom, and someone's knocking, like, "Are you done yet? Can we start the movie? Hello?
I'm busy in here."
And then we get the Jaws shot going through the water,
Exactly.
and then the music kicks in from basically your neighbor hammering a picture up next door to a Predator-esque kind of like do 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 do. There's a boat.
It's a rainy day on the ocean. High wind. Yes. Choppy.
And the boat's basically the Nostromo. That's true. When you look at it, like all the screens, everything. Stupid joystick.
This bit specifically, and this group of mercenaries. I mean, they just. The thing is, this entire movie, I don't think I like one person. Not even Treat's character, not Finnegan.
Not even T-Bill?
Not...
T-Bill is charming. He's like a handsome Nathan Lane.
Wow. Drag Nathan Lane. Jeez.
Nathan Lane is handsome, but he doesn't have the chiseled jaw. The Treat William has like that classic movie star jaw.
Oh, he really does.
Nathan Lane.
He's got that Casper Van Dien sort of,
I think he's fun.
No, I don't...
But
I mean, he's fine, but I don't... There's no one I really like in this, which is fine.
Not even, was it Jonesy or what's his name?
Oh, the funny guy.
The funny guy.
the comedy guy.
Joey. It's Joey. Joey Pantucci, played by Kevin J. O'Connor.
Can you get asthma at any time? That one. Yeah.
That line was improvised. He improvised most of his lines.
Oh, well, that was very good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's fun, but
he's fun.
But he kind of talks like Shaggy the whole time.
That's his thing.
Right.
He is Emotep. Okay,
Right,
whatever.
So yeah, we got the that ship, the bad ship, and then the good ship, the big posh cruise liner. And so this cruise liner is insane inside, and this party going on for I guess it's the big first night party, even though they must be days out at ocean. So what have they done the last 2 nights?
Because it shows like the map and like, well, wherever we're going, it's here. Being like, did you not have a party? Like, everyone stay in your rooms until we get to this location in the middle of the Pacific.
Nowhere
and then we'll have our welcome party.
Yeah. So I was surprised by that. And also the fact that they've got fire throwers, they've got a tribal band, they've got big Chinese dragons. I was like, all these people, are they just there for that one night and then they have to stay in their cabin for the rest of the cruise? All of these people. Oh, hey, you enjoying it? Yeah, I'm just a fire thrower for night 3 in the middle of the ocean. Or do they do this every night?
Well, I know they had 400 extras for this scene. 400 extras. This is where the budget. I can't believe this script got this budget. And the budget was cut down when Harrison Ford turned it down. Like, they still cut the budget.
Oh, so they're like, well, if we're not getting him, we've saved.
We're going to cut the budget. I mean, he probably would have gotten $10 million for doing this movie.
Especially in the late 90s, yeah. That's true. That was all Air Force One time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But also, there is that amount of people. This is jumping a bit. But, you know, when they get there and they're like, and there's quite a bit of blood. There's not 400 people's worth of blood.
Well, in that room...
Oh, well, the skeleton room. Yes, fair enough.
There's other rooms that make me really not want to kill count this
Oh,
movie.
my God.
Yeah. There's some stuff that I'm like, I could do... Oh, God.
No.
I forgot.
Even the skeletons are all, like, in parts, so you'd have to piece them all together.
Well, that's actually James's nightmare with the skeletons, is he hates bastard skellies, he calls them. Anything that's a skeleton, he hates counting skeletons. Like, no, skeletons don't count as kills, because we don't see any kills. It's just a skeleton. I'm like, well, it's technically the remnants of a bunch of people that were killed during that. But for that, I would just say 400 extras, 400 people.
There you go. That's what you could do.
That's what I would 100. Like there were 400 actual humans there. I'm saying that's how many died.
Nice to see Famke. Yeah, is it Janssen or Janssen? This is a bit.
I've always said Janssen, but
okay.
I've never looked it up.
I thought like Mila Djokovic, Kim Basinger.
It's when the accent. Basinger. One of those things. All I know is she was in Cool World.
Cool World. Yeah, but it's nice to see her. She's a little villain in this, isn't she? She's a Dickens pickpocket. That's what she is.
She is basically. She should be going up to sing a little song. Yeah. Pick a pocket or two.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's such petty theft. Well, I suppose she's trying to get to the vault, isn't she? That's everyone's idea on this ship.
It's always the vault, but I love that she gets to the vault and she isn't even like, I'm not going for the big one. I'm just going to take this one. She's like, that's all I need. I'm good.
The jewelry.
That was originally Claire Forlani from Mallrats.
Oh, yes.
Who was cast and then left 3 days into production due to creative differences.
With?
The director. Stephen Summers.
Oh, I've heard.
We don't know what. They've never said anything, but she left 3 days in, and so they replaced with Famke, and they were worried that Famke was actually too famous at the time because of Goldeneye.
Yeah.
She was Xena Onatopp.
That was like 95 though, right? Oh, I suppose this was meant to be 97.
Yeah. And then, of course, she went to be Jean Grey and all of that.
Yeah, of course. What a weird thing, though, to go, I think she's too famous. You offered Harrison Ford.
Yeah, we don't want a famous person that's more famous than Treat Williams.
Treat Williams.
Yeah, it's like our lead. We can't have our second be more famous than our lead, T-Bill.
Well, I'm glad they went with her because I love her. Yeah. I think she's really great to watch.
Super fun. She also apparently hated being dressed so sexy. She's like, I don't want to play another character that's sexy because she's a former model. And probably why halfway through she like switches to like a shirt and pants.
Yeah, I noticed that, and I don't know when it happens because it's in the midst of a nautical monster attack. She has a
changes clothes.
Yeah, into something more comfortable. But she is in that ridiculous sort of Julia Roberts, Pretty Woman, Jessica Rabbit type thing. I mean, she looks great, but
I don't argue with the Jessica Rabbit dress ever.
No, but she gets caught, right? And it's a really fun scene actually because it kind of sets a weird tone because she's a comedy character, and then from then on, basically her entire character is kind of just dropping one-liners or dropping little sarky comments and running around and then kissing a guy at the end.
Yeah, I mean you got to have someone kiss at the end. It's a Hollywood picture.
Of course,
literally, it's a Hollywood picture. That's who produced it.
But it kicks off because the cruise ship gets hit by something big and the guests are flying everywhere. Obviously, this just came out after Titanic, though, so it must have been, at the time, must have been so reminiscent and a bit like, this doesn't hit the same.
But it's such a really good stunt scene. Like, there are people falling all over the place.
The lady's head gets, like, trampled on.
Oh, yeah, one of the extras is, like, fully trampled, and, like, it is a really good panic scene. But I think, it did suffer because we'd just seen the most important panic scene ever on the Titanic.
Yes. Oh, that bit, though, on Titanic, you know, when the boat's sort of gone up before it goes down, and all the people dropping, and there's that one guy, and you just
like
see
clang
him, clang, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that blew my mind. I thought they must have killed someone to get that effect. Anyway, that's Titanic. We're talking about
the Argonautica, the ship that is, as the one guy says, Anthony Held or whatever his character Simon says, the ship that is impervious to weather.
That's right.
What the hell does that mean?
What are you talking about?
Impervious to weather. Well, if there's still a big wave or a thunderstorm, like
it can't defy physics.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you talking about? Impervious to weather. Wow. And anyway,
but of course,
that's the least of his fucking worries, eh?
It is impervious to weather, but not impervious to 3 CD-ROMs worth of sabotage.
Oh my God, that moment is hilarious. It's the fact they're in a briefcase and then they're rewritable CD-ROMs and he puts them in and it just sets everything offline.
No more than, I'd say, about a gig and a half of data on those
Yep,
3 CD-ROMs there.
And
That's
this is
about it.
a $400 million weather impervious cruise ship.
But they had the 3 CD-ROM, so you know that it's going to work. And then movie computers are always the greatest that just...
Offline.
Offline.
Yes,
Offline.
yes.
Offline. Do. Love them. So, yeah, he sabotages the ship to make some money, and I don't know. But
insurance
of course
scam.
Yeah, it's an insurance scam.
But we get
then, of course,
Toilet Lady. Now,
yes.
this is everything to me. This, especially in the late 90s when we started to get a bit bloodier again, because things were a little bit tame in the early and mid when it was just, and we're coming out of the 80s, everyone was just a bit calm on the splatter. But the blood in this, whenever anyone dies, their body releases their entire reserve of blood instantaneously.
Yeah, it's just like boom, blood gone, all pints out like that, and that's where I was so impressed that also they gave this movie $45 million, and it's R-rated, and they tried to do a PG-13.
Really?
Yeah, they tried to do PG-13. If you think, is it really? Think of the one guy's death where half his head's missing. That's definitely
my God,
R-rated.
it is amazing. I completely forgot about it, and it makes me feel like maybe I didn't even see that. If maybe I saw some weird cut, because that's the sort of shit I'd remember, and it blew me away, that bit. I loved it.
Oh, yeah, that's probably the best death effect in there, is the guy that is like regurgitated by the tentacle and is like half his head is missing. It's a mix of practical and CGI that I think they did a really good job blending, and he's just screaming and they're all just staring at him. He's screaming
one
and
dead eye
dying.
and like you can see some of his brain. It's very Two-Face, very Chucky in Child's Play 2. Like it's just, I just love it.
Oh yeah,
It's
no, it was
amazing.
really good, and they tried to do a PG-13 version, but they just couldn't cut it to make it work for PG-13. But there is a made-for-TV version that cuts 30 minutes out. So if you want your shorter
there's
runtime,
my version.
the movie's then what, an hour and 15 minutes, but all
That's
the
lovely.
gore is cut out.
Oh no, well
It's
then,
made
no.
for TV, so there's
Okay.
not much to.
All right, I'll take the hit.
Yeah, this toilet death is a lot of fun, even though I'm just like, there's no way this tentacle
It's gone
made
through
it
the pipe.
through
Yeah.
the pipe of this toilet to suck this lady into the toilet. I'm always happy when someone sucked into it and they spray blood, which
Yes.
seemed to be like, if you ever watched Supernatural, it seemed like every opening for an entire season or more was just someone is off screen and then blood on this, blood on this,
Right.
blood on this. I've always wanted to do a super cut.
But it's like maybe her skin was left behind or something. Like she just got like flayed or something, because it's like she's been thrown into a wood chipper. It's just fantastic, that splatter of blood. And we get that a few times actually, like inexplicably as well.
There's a guy getting like banged around on pipes as he's dragged away, and each pipe he hits, it just goes BAM!
Yes, I saw
BAM!
that.
And it's like 4 different pipes he's hit on. It just, how much blood does he have? He's not an anime character.
And why is he opening so easily? It's wonderful. But I mean, I wouldn't change it for the world. But then our crooks, the mercenaries, they board the ship and they realize there's
There's a double cross.
there.
T-Bill is a good guy. He's just hired to drive
Just
the
his
boat
ship,
out there.
right? His boat,
Because
yeah.
they couldn't have one of the mercenaries drive a boat.
Apparently. So they had to sneak on torpedoes by hiring just a local sort of Yellow Pages boat guy.
Yeah, big torpedoes that they have in these cases, and then they like get hit. Oh, they round into a boat that explodes. Like this boat must have been loaded with TNT and C4.
Yeah, right.
It's just a speedboat in the water, and then it explodes, knocking a giant hole in their ship, and they're sinking, but they made it. And then they like, oh God, check on the nukes or whatever, and they just like open them up, and then he's like slapping it. He's like,
Yeah.
these things, any jostling could have blown these things up. Like, keep it closed. It obviously didn't blow up.
Right.
It's fine. Close the thing.
Yeah, you don't need to open to check if it blew up or not. You would know.
You can
It's
know it
good.
didn't, and it's safe in there. Thank you.
I was very confused because obviously Famke has been captured and put in like the storeroom, and so she pops open champagne, shots to have a snack. Now, the next time we see her, all this shit has gone down. All the 400 people are dead, missing, regurgitated. Did she sleep through the whole thing? Or did she get knocked out?
She was just in there eating and having a good time. It's kind of like...
Like, she wakes up on the floor. She's like, and she's like stretching.
Oh, I guess she just took a nap because she ate a bunch of...
So she slept through the entire fucking creature attack or whatever it is. And the boat rocking back and forth.
Maybe. I can't remember now. I'm just realizing that, I guess she did wake up.
She must have done. She just, like, slept through. Maybe it was that bottle of champagne.
It reminded me of Homer Simpson in the Treehouse of Horror shinning episode where he's just in there eating things in the storage and the monsters are like, hey, Homer, you gotta go kill those people and everything. I'm like, Famke, you're still in the movie. Get out of here. Come on.
Everyone's dead.
What? All right. Yeah. All right. I'm here now.
Trillian.
Trillian, her name, which
Trillian.
is
We haven't talked about that.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It is 100% Trillian.
Yes, but that's her nickname, isn't it? In Hitchhiker's
Trisha
Guide.
McMillan.
Yes.
Trillian. But he took, like, Summers actually said that he's like, I like the name, so I took it.
Oh, very
From
good.
Hitchhiker's Guide, which I'm like, sure, it's a great name. I love Trillian.
It's especially great for a bandit, someone who's trying to steal jewels. Trillian. Mm-hmm. Yeah, love it. Works on many levels. Layla, it's a shame this. Layla, who I really like her. But she sees the bloated corpse, and then she gets pulled out of the hole. And just to really tip the gender diversity into the male dominance, like the one woman just gets
who was
it, and
interesting,
I'm cool. Yes,
the girlfriend of Joey's character. But also, why was that corpse naked?
I didn't even think it was. You're right. It was completely naked.
This thing, this creature. As they say later, these tentacles come out and they suck you in and then they drink you, which I always thought was a really cool thing. It's like they don't eat you; they literally drink you alive and just drain all the fluid for your body.
Out,
like, that's really cool. Then we see this one bloated corpse with like Total Recall eyeballs bulging out on Mars or whatever, and I'm like, who's this naked guy?
Why?
Was there a separate side story where some guy died like having sex and just like was dumped over the side, and then because there could be so many other plots happening on this boat,
right?
That if I ever made a film, I would love to have it set on a cruise line or something like that and tell this whole story, and then it ends up going into Deep Rising. So it's like it's a secret prequel to Deep Rising.
That's really great. Just at the end, like 10 Cloverfield Lane, it's suddenly
just like, oh, by the way, this happened. What?
Oh my god! And then it's all futile for whatever you've set up anyway.
But yeah, I didn't understand why he was dead. But I was sad Layla died. She was
me
fun.
Too. Yeah. And then it's kind of then goes sort of a bit from kill to kill because we've got the annoying Australian alpha and he gets pulled into the water. Now these creatures they work really well in very shallow water as well.
Well, so it's all one creature. And these are just its tentacles. It's not separate creatures. It's basically in the middle is the one creature. It's an octolus, something like that, as it's called. But basically, it's these things are feeding the main. Like this goes out, grabs, sucks in all the juices, and goes to the middle thing.
I thought these were all the babies. Oh, so it's just the tentacles. It's
just
sense.
The tentacles that go every single where. But he's got so many
up the
freaking
toilet
tentacles. Up the toilet, through pipes and everything, and wherever the hell they need to go, whatever that is.
Sure. Because the guy he goes, it's an Atoya. It makes sense. So I looked up.
Did you look up Atoya? I looked up. Those things are creepy.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Hell.
But then I looked at the pictures and then I tried to read what it was, and I nearly had an aneurysm because it's just words. Atoya is a stem group Archaeopreolopoid worm known from Cambrian fossils. Although prepulid-like worms from various deposits are often referred to as Atoya on spurting grounds, microfossils come from... nothing.
Wow, that is just a bunch of science jargon that you could just write into a script and have someone spew out as experts. If you had Christopher Lloyd screaming that at you, that would be great. Marty, they're a pre-Cambrian flatworm from the microfossils.
No, to me, it just looks like someone fell onto the keyboard. It's just letters.
He's saying that it's just like a tentacle, like worm thing, but then actually we learned that it's more than that later on.
Yes. Yeah, we
do. But that guy, that Australian guy, was Kano from Mortal Kombat. I kept staring at him. I'm like, I know this voice. Oh, it's the stupid Kano from Mortal Kombat, the 96
Which Mortal Kombat?
movie? The first
the old
movie.
One. Yeah, the
one with
90s
the greatest theme song probably ever.
Wait, the greatest theme song? The deepest, the bluest, the deepest.
Well, I mean, aside from Deep Blue Sea, that one is an amazing theme song. But of course, Mortal Kombat, the theme song for that.
I don't remember it.
You don't remember the Mortal Kombat theme? Like din 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 din.
Sounds good.
Mortal Kombat.
Does it? No, it doesn't shout Mortal Kombat.
It literally screams Mortal Kombat. And I was so excited in the theater when that came on that I was like headbanging and doing that. And a guy in front of me turned around and said, "Stop that."
No.
He was not having it at all. This teenager just like going, Mortal Kombat, yeah. Like,
was he British though? Because to be fair, you guys, your cinema, your theatre experience is very different. When I've been and seen a film in the States, everyone's involved. It's like you're a community in there. All go, yeah, come on, we're all experiencing this together. Whereas in England, they sell popcorn. Yeah, if you're eating popcorn near me and if you're rustling around, you're going to get my eyes. And if you don't get them first time, I will lean forward and give you the eyes. And that's the second warning.
It's the same way that you make love. I get it.
Yeah.
Dead
Absolutely.
silent.
Just get the eyes.
Just nothing.
Dead silent and eyes.
Get it done. Like, if there's a noise from anything down there, I don't want to hear it.
Yep.
I will just...
But it's not just me, though. That's just... it's a very different experience, the cinema. We all sit there and go, impress me.
It's just that attitude of,
the attitude's
you've
really
taken my time.
Yes, you
and
better be
we're there for a good time. It depends on the movie. I mean, we actually had like rowdy screenings at a couple theaters, like specifically designed to like shout and say the lines of the movies and things like that.
I won't be queuing for that one.
I mean, one of my best theater experiences was Freddy vs. Jason, where the whole place was just very excited for everything that was happening. Like, fuck Freddy, yeah, this, and da. So it's a nice community experience that you don't get from watching it at home. But certain movies also, I don't want people to talk. Where I'm sitting and watching a movie. I had the terrible movie that I can't remember the name of now, so I'm going to...
Deep Rising.
There you go. No, it's not that one.
Deep Impact.
Moonfall. It was Moonfall. Moonfall was ruined for me by teenagers talking in the back who walked in 60 minutes into the movie and just started having a conversation behind me.
No, go home. Go text each other.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
So back on the Argonautica.
Yes. Back on the Necronomicon.
Necronomicon.
A bit that genuinely shocked me, and then I laughed, was when they do open the vault, and Vivo, I think it is, gets a hatchet in the forehead.
That was insane. That one freaked out my wife when that happened. She's like, what? And that was the guy from Guardians
amazing.
of the Galaxy. How do you say his name? Digimon? I'm going to say something like that. He's great. I love seeing, whenever he shows up in things, another one that I'm like, oh, yeah, all right, good to see you, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, he gets killed
so rough.
horribly. And that's R-rated right there. Like that, I was actually questioning. I'm like, is this PG-13? Is this R? Then that happened. I went, oh, it's R. It's definitely R.
Yeah, that bit's so good. From there, it stays R, because then they have the corridor where they first discover these sort of regurgitated skeletons. And it's creepy. It's such a creepy visual, because just by looking at it, they never discuss it. Even though we see later the bit where someone gets cut out and then you work it out. But you immediately know, looking at it, that's come back up, like Anaconda. Well, unfortunately, that came out before this as well, because
I thought of
Anaconda
the same.
and all those. But it's such a gross visual, and it's really affecting as well, because you're like, and how does this happen? Does it?
Well, that's why I like that it is an old school kind of B movie in that way, that the monster is hidden. It's active, it's doing things, but they hide it for almost an hour into the movie.
Right.
Like, you don't actually see any of it. And they do amazing things like the metal wall scene where they're in the corridor, and then like the metal wall is like, it's behind it.
It's all puckering, yeah.
And then it starts puckering and like moving to them fast. Like, fuck, whatever this thing is, it's big and it's moving. And that I'd never seen before. And then they did the chase down the hall where like the
Thing.
metal floor. Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
which I then say is Tremors, but of course the thing was first.
Well,
But
yeah.
I always will think of the boards in front of Change
Choose your
Market.
reference. You can choose whatever reference you want.
Well, each one is a reference on its own, but it's
Yeah,
a way of
exactly.
it. I think it also has that Tremors feel in that it keeps it hidden for a while, and then it also misdirects you into like, here's these tongue things. That's the creature. Oh wait,
Right.
no, it's not. Here's the main creature. But this one saves the main creature for the end for like 5 seconds and then moves on.
Understandably. Yeah.
The animators are like, we can't do any. You have no more money. Like, we can't do more than this.
Yeah, it's the sketch basically, but then we do see it, and as you say, it's like an hour in, and it's up above them in all sort of wrapped around the pipes, and this is where we see the tentacles, and they shoot it, and this is where we get, is it Billy? Yeah, that sort of Billy's half decomposed
Yes.
corpse, and I just think it's brilliant. I really do. Even today,
it looks really good. It holds up. It is probably the best death effect in the movie, and it's just a horrifying thing that this guy is screaming and just he's been digested partially,
yeah, and he's still got the
just,
stomach acid on him.
and they're all just standing there with their stupid guns, and then they just keep shooting at things with these rotating weird space guns.
Yeah, that never run out of bullets. A lot of bullets in those guns.
Yeah, there's a lot of bullets in those guns,
It's
and then they
amazing.
show the creature.
And what do you think of the creature then?
I mean, I love the way that it moves. Like when it's coming down a hallway and it's like flipping over itself and it's like fast and like fills the space in a cool way. But then when it opens its mouth, I'm like, oh, it's like a predator fucked a face hugger.
That flowering, toothy
Kind of toothy face that we've seen, multiple times before. Which is basically what the new Graboid tentacles look like to me.
That's right.
In Tremors 5, 6, and 7, when they redid the tentacles, I'm like, oh, that's just deep rising. But
There's a really weird moment. You know the bit where they all have to sort of swim under to get to the other side?
Yes.
This is one of the moments I mean where this whole section just feels a little bit long, but also there's a really annoying bit where they come up and Jason Fleming's character is talking. He's just full on talking, saying lines, but there's no dialogue coming through. And so obviously they've decided to cut the audio on that bit. But
well, he's saying some really
irritating.
racist things, like really offensive, horrible things. No, I'm kidding. I don't
Oh my
actually
god!
know what he was
I was like,
saying.
do you know what? It would surprise me.
He just went on this
With-
rant, and it was like, oh, we can't put this, but we don't have another shot.
Not scripted, yeah.
But that scene was very reminiscent of Alien Resurrection, which I think came out before,
Yes.
or if not the same year, 97, Alien Resurrection or something.
And it works better in Resurrection. This with the
It
underwater
does.
swim.
It works
even
better.
though it's an impossibly long time that they hold their breath, but that's fine.
It is, and their plan was to, we're 4 gonna go, you 2 stay here.
Yes.
If we
Wow.
drown, at least you're alive.
It makes as much sense as the Salem witch trials. It's like, what are you talking about? If I drown, I was innocent. What?
He's like, I'm gonna go over here and fire 2 guns. He's like, I'll fire a couple rounds and you'll hear it if I made it through and it's safe. Right. But it was weird that like 4 people went or 3 people
Instead of
went.
one.
So I'm like,
So why
just one.
risk
Just
4
he
lives?
should have gone, checked it out. If one person died, okay, well, let's moving on.
Yeah, not 70%.
T-bill, better plans.
T-bill.
Better plans. You gotta get some Tremors planning sequences in there.
But there's also, this is when they do get to the other side, the dialogue is really rough. It's just really badly written. It's all cliche. It's all stuff like, hey, I'm kicking ass and taking names, starting right here, right now. And I was like, okay, these are just like stock action movie lines.
We'll
but he
fill
gets
it with better lines later. Don't worry. Those just placeholder.
Okay,
We'll re-record them later.
We'll redo
It'll be
it.
fine.
But he gets done. Jason Fleming, he gets eaten because he's an idiot. Because the fire works. The fire scares it off, and then he puts the fire out, and then it eats him.
This is the stupidest thing. It's like, oh, fire scares it. Great. Well, I better turn this off.
That's
I
dangerous.
got eaten.
And then the ballroom of skeletons. It's great. It's such a great set piece, and it's horrible. It's like catacombs.
It's amazing. It looks great. It's really great. And then everything gets knocked around. Skeletons are falling all over the place.
The only thing I don't like about it is that we can hear the cries of the fallen passengers as we're looking at them.
Can we? Oh, that's
Yes.
stupid.
They're looking
Didn't
at
even
it's panning,
notice that.
It's panning around the skeletons. And you hear, help! and hear the
Well,
screams
there's
of
probably
when they
some
died.
people underneath
No,
in there.
stop it.
No, okay.
Don't you do your thing. Don't
Yeah,
you do your thing
yeah.
where you
I'm trying
fill
to
the
fix
hole.
Deep Rising. It's not as perfect as Waxwork.
It's not. No,
it's
but
not
you
a
hear,
perfect
you hear
film
the,
like that.
you hear the ghostly sort of echoes of their deaths, and I didn't like that. Oh well.
Okay.
But then they keep moving. This is the bit I was talking about where they move to the next section of the ship, and that starts to flood, and then the thing comes in, and then they move to the next section.
It gets it. You start to lose track of like where things happened in the movie, and it's like we just have a long section of just being chased through tunnels and going from one place to the next. There's still some good bits and things in there.
Yes, there are.
Like, I like the baby octopus story that he tells.
Yes,
I thought that
so
was a
random,
fun.
right?
It almost felt like Deep Blue Sea. His like story about ice, like you want to see something that moves fast, it's ice. He's like, I'll tell you about a baby octopus that does this and opens this and da da da, and this is what we're gonna do.
fish.
Rah!
Yes.
But he does not get killed. T-Bill doesn't die. But I love that story.
No. But they're all being picked off one by one. And then we're sort of down to the last few. I think Finnegan?
Finny. T-Bill.
Teabag.
Just call him T-Bill.
Teabag.
Not Teabag.
But he's got back onto his ship, and and Famke / Trillian is avoiding flares, not the Genes, although everyone should avoid flares, the Genes. But she's dodging
good advice.
flares. Yes.
From a double-barreled flare gun?
That's amazing, that one, isn't it? It's like a sawn-off flare gun.
Yeah, it's like Ash's boomstick, but a flare
Yes.
gun. And she's just like diving out of ways at Anthony Hill, just shooting people, having failed to interrogate Mystique.
And then we get the Queen, or not the Queen, sorry, it's the
Well, you say
the
it's a
main
queen,
hub.
and I see. I guess that's the alien comparison there.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like that's the head, like that's the
actual,
main head.
yeah.
So it looks
the
like
soft bit.
like a naked baby seal, like with sharp teeth or something.
Yes.
It's like a weird, like sealy thing, not like
Yeah.
Seal the singer. It doesn't.
Not flares, the Genes, and not Seal the
Not
singer.
Seal the singer. It's a different one, like a naked mole rat seal thing
Yes.
that
With
screams
cute
at him,
eyes.
and I don't understand. Like it's when. It's kind of like the Queen in the way that like that Queen like shows respect to Ripley and doesn't like kill Ripley immediately. But I guess
Yeah.
Ripley's like, I'll kill your babies. This one just like grabs
Picks him up.
T-Bill, picks him up and like brings him over to look at him, be like,
Yes.
Are you the one that's been causing me so much problems, which I could have very easily eaten with all 300 tentacles that I have here right now?
Yes, found my head, did you? You found my big head, did you? I see. It's a very
All right.
King Kong moment, isn't it?
Let me set you for to shoot my eye out. It's a Christmas story moment. You'll shoot your eye out, kid, and he just boom explodes it. Nice big splatter, and then it screams and lets him go, and then they run off so they can get on a sea-doo.
Now
I've never heard the term sea-doo. Have you heard the term
because
sea-doo?
I know a skidoo, but a sea-doo. I mean, it makes sense. It's
Oh, it does?
yeah, because a skidoo is one that has skis on that you have on the snow. And I've been on
Okay.
one in Lapland in Finland. A sea-doo, I've never heard of it, but it just kind of means one of those, but without the skis. And they changed
I
it
guess
to
it would
sea,
be
like
a
the
jet
sea.
ski is what I've always called them.
Well, it is.
And I guess the
It's
other one would
jet
be a
ski.
snow ski. I guess.
Yes. Yes.
Snowmobile. That's
Snowmobile.
what we call it. That's
Yeah.
what they're called. At least that's the terms that I grew
So-
up with. But I guess a ski-doo
A
and a
seamobile.
sea-doo.
A sea-mobile.
Oh boy. But there's 3 keys for sea-doos, and the one guy is she takes one. And
Mm-hmm.
he's like, give me that key. I'm going to chase you everywhere for that key. I'm like, dude, there's 2 other keys there.
It's okay. Yeah.
You could just take another jet ski.
You're good.
And how do you know that that's the key for that one? Whatever.
And apparently, he said earlier there are enough lifeboats for the 400 people, and we don't see those.
No one uses them.
That's a
We just
lot.
saw the one.
There must be a lot of them.
One speedboat fell and one surfboard flew into the air. That's all I remember from things that flew off the boat.
And then obviously the missile hits the ship, it just taps it, and as you say,
That
for
is
some
so
reason,
dumb.
Everything goes up.
So the plan is to like, all right, my boat's sinking, so I'm gonna send my little speedboat. Finnegan's like, all right, I'm gonna send the bomb into the side. The Anthony Held jumps off the ship, breaks his leg, which always was very visceral to me. because then he like stands on it later and like cracks even more and just like, that's hard to watch. And then he's like, I'm free. Oh, there's a stupid joystick and everything's on autopilot. And then he goes to and he's screaming and the music's building. And then it's just like lightly taps the side of the ship and then boom, whole ship explodes.
I love nonsensical explosions in horror films. Always. It's like, why would that blow up? Why would this blow up? It's fantastic. So then they're on a Sea-Doo and they are jetting around corridors on a ship. Not only are they running away from this tentacle, now they're running away from fire as well.
And it's all because they were right by the entrance. The exit or whatever. They were right by the thing, and he's like, I'd better build up some speed. So he goes out to like go down the corridor. I'm like, okay, but I feel like there's a turn at the end. So no matter how much speed you get, you're going to lose it when you go around the corner to get back to that area. But then they're chased around. And I will say I looked at there's a cool effect how they actually got that. They had all these chase scenes down the corridors.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, we'll just do it with a steady cam. And the cinematographer's like, no. Have you tried walking backwards in water?
Oh, of course.
And being top heavy with a steady cam? You will take 2 steps and fall over.
You're gone. Yeah.
So if you look on the ceiling, there's dolly tracks all along the piping. So
it's hanging.
So it's hanging upside down, basically, and it goes along the corridor. So it's a really brilliant way of doing that. And then for the jet ski, to get the water behind them, they were dragging a metal plate so that it kicked up water behind it for the creature, so there's a practical effect. And then the whole thing was on a pulley as well, basically. So they're just pulling this jet ski with the actors that's down this hallway.
Oh, do you know what? That's actually really good. Because I didn't even think about that. Of course, we're ahead of the Ski-Doo and it's coming towards us and we're going around. And I didn't even think how they're doing that. But that makes sense.
There's a lot of good people working on this and doing really creative solutions for things that you don't think about. Like, I wouldn't have thought about, we'll just steady cam down the hallway. Like, oh shit, it'll just fall over every single time. There's no way I can run backwards through water.
And the focus puller and someone holding the wires up so they're not in the water. You know, it's just that would not work. You're right.
One other behind the scenes thing that I thought was really cool was they were going to film this in LA in a water tank, and it was going to cost $200,000 to rent. So they said, no, we're going to go build our own in Vancouver. So they built their own water tank. This whole thing, filmed, sets, everything, in this giant water tank. It broke and flooded nearby buildings and ended up costing them $600,000 in damages. So sometimes
teach you, cheapskates. It's not always right to go to Canada.
Pay for the thing and go there. It just it was initially cheaper, but then in the end cost you a lot more.
That's hilarious. 3 times more. Well, I was going to say we need to talk about the ending, because they're fine. They're fine and dry. And they are on the desert island, the aforementioned desert island that we saw with a volcano. It's basically like Skull Island, and there's another monster.
Do you want to know why?
Why?
This is a secret prequel to King Kong.
I know this. Yes, no, because Summers was meant to be doing a King Kong, wasn't he?
Yes.
Is that it? Yes.
Built this as a secret prequel to King Kong.
No. Oh, he actually did.
That was supposed to be Skull Island. They landed on Skull Island, and that was King Kong in there. And so I guess they would have been in the King Kong movie, or they would have been part of, or I don't know. Maybe they find T-Bill living in the woods or something, which I would have loved to see. But I could not believe that when I read that he actually had planned to do that, and then he went to do The Mummy instead. For Universal.
So you should do your secret prequel, and then but they never got the King Kong, I suppose. But then you could sort of make it canon with someone else's.
The other one was I wanted to do a sequel to if I ever got a budget, be like, I'm doing a sequel to Deep Rising. Like, what? I'm like, what? I want to know what's in that jungle. That's what I want to make. But I was so excited about that, and before that's
really cool.
And it's 3 of them that make it there. It's Famke and Kevin J. O'Connor and T-Bill all make it. But originally, Kevin J. O'Connor, his character died.
Well, I mean, he should be dead.
Well, they have this scene where they like find his hat covered in goo, and then he's
that's
gone.
right.
And T-Bill's sad. It's like, oh, this is a reshoot because
Yes, yeah,
they
and you
probably
get the music.
yeah, and it's like, oh, and then they wanted to explain how he got there, and so he comes in on a surfboard. And when the ship explodes, they digitally inserted a surfboard flying at camera.
No, just in
to
case.
show you that it survived. And that's what
God.
he was able to get on and then make it there. Because the test audiences loved his character so much that they didn't want his character to die. So they're like, all right, sure.
I love that that's what they were worried about, that the audience would go, that's not realistic that he's on a surfboard. And they've gone, we have to put a surfboard in there so that people go, that checks out. Like, that's the thing I'm going to question.
But to me, I go, they actually thought of it. Like, they took
Yes,
the moment
yeah.
of, like, I admire the filmmaker for thinking of that. Not that it mattered, and they didn't
No.
even spend that extra $100,000 or whatever to get all that animated in there. But, it's amazing.
What was the
And then
budget you said for this? Like 40 million or something?
$45 million.
Do you know how
was
much
the
it
budget.
took? I think, wasn't it like 10 million?
Yeah, it made $11 million.
Oh, and I do think that is because of all the delays. And it just came out after
and
Titanic.
the delays, yeah.
And Titanic was probably still on because it was on for
Mm-hmm.
so long. And everyone was seeing that 12 times. So, yeah, poor Deep Rising.
Except me. Never saw it in theaters.
Oh, yeah.
I saw it 2020, the pandemic.
Watching this, though, it did make me sort of rekindle my fondness for slightly higher budget, than just your average B movie. But these thrill ride monster movies. And it made me feel all comfortable and fuzzy. And I was like, I remember this time, actually. Obviously, there was a lot of really crappy ones because the CGI, I mean, not everyone had access to ILM, of course. So it sticks out because of that. But I think it's great. It's really fun.
I agree. I mean, I think it's up there. And again, I think of The Relic when I think of this same kind of monster movie, but higher budget that I don't feel is made as much anymore. Or I don't know. It's a big creature feature that I really, really like. And the creature features now tend to be the low budget, like
exactly,
lake spiders and
yes, croctopus.
Like, yeah, that the CGI is so bad that, like, you can have it, just focus your budget on a good creature for the end and figure out clever ways of hiding it for a bit and, things of that nature.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm nostalgic for creature movies of this nature and things. And
yeah, same. It's great. Thank you for putting it on your list. And and as I said, as soon as I saw it, it really jumped down. I was like, God, yeah, I really want to revisit that. And I'm really glad we did. That was a good one.
I am too. I didn't expect this to be like part of it because it is. I mean, there is the practical blood sprays and things, but I was like, oh, it's more CGI, and you tend to stay away from a lot of the CGI and more the practical stuff.
Yeah, but this fits absolutely in because the thing is, even though it was widely released and all that, it is a B movie, and it does fall into my category. And I had a great time, and I think especially for that moment when he gets regurgitated, it really, really took me by surprise at how good it looks. Because as you say, you can see some of it's practical, and then they've probably got some of it painted. It was probably blue then, because they weren't doing green screen.
Yes,
that came later. And
I'm curious when that switchover was between the blue and the green. They're
green.
like,
yeah, this is better. Wait,
why haven't we been using green this whole time?
Yeah, it's so funny. It's like they just suddenly one day went, wait. This works way better. It's like, did you not try all the colours? But listen, Zoran, when are you off on honeymoon?
Hopefully it's going to be March.
Nice.
New Zealand is the goal.
Oh, you'll love. Have you been before?
I've never been. It's the one place that I've really, really wanted to go, and we figured before we end up, with children and things, like this is the time to do it. Otherwise, it'll be when we're, in our 60s or whatever, when we're retired and kids are gone.
Yeah. I've spent a bit of time in New Zealand, and it's absolutely incredible. One of my favourite places. I went to the Weta Workshop as well.
That's where I want to go. I have all their Dark Crystal statues are sitting right over here next to me.
Oh my gosh. So I went round the whole thing, had a tour and all this. It's amazing, the shit they have there. It's so good. Are you going to that area?
We haven't figured out the exact areas and things. We just know that we will be going to Hobbiton, of course.
Of course, yeah. Well, that's the
and
same. It's all in Wellington.
It is the same?
Wellywood, yeah.
Yeah, we'll probably spend a little bit of time in the North Island, but I think most of the time in the South Island because that's where a lot of the nature stuff is. So we're going to do that.
There's an amazing place called Zealandia.
Zealandia?
Zealandia, which is like a nature reserve where you can see all the crazy animals that only are indigenous there and stuff. It's amazing. I'll send you
The
details.
name starts with a Z, so I like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then maybe if I'm down there, I'll see if I can talk to the director of Deathgasm and see how he's doing and whether he's
Lovely.
still... He unblocked my kill count, so we've had a good relationship. It used to be blocked.
Yeah. I remember you saying.
So I am very thankful to him and would love to meet him at some point because I think he made a really, really great movie and I hope he's doing well.
Yeah, it's a good one. I suppose we'll be looking out for They Talk. And what kill counts have you got coming up that you've worked on?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say anything.
Oh, you're not. I nearly had you.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say anything. I'm sure
Maybe
James will just blurt it out on Twitter, but you can follow me at Low Carb Comedy on Twitter, Instagram, all the things, lowcarbcomedy.com for all of my videos and things that I will hopefully be doing more of this year. We'll see, but I've got plenty of good stuff coming for Dead Meat as I am still a full-time employee with that wonderful, wonderful channel.
Hell yeah. Thank you very much. Happy New Year. And see you for
Happy
the next
New
one.
Year.
Happy
Thank you
New
so
Year.
much. Bye, Stevie.
Bye. There we have it. Thank you once again to the amazing Zoran. Always a pleasure. And I'll see you for the divorce episode. Next week, we're hitting up a banger of a trash-to-piece, 1982's Alone in the Dark, from Nightmare on Elm Street 2 director Jack Shoulder. The movie is available to rent on Amazon Prime. I cannot wait for that one. But we have to, unfortunately, so I'll see you next week, rotters. Toodles!